Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I'm coming to you with my weekly reading update. It is Sunday, it is the 17th of September. Happy Sunday everybody. So if you've been watching my vlogs, it's been a bit of a rough week. A rough end of the week, let's put it that way. And I really haven't done much reading over the last couple of days for obvious reasons. But I do have 4 books that I finished earlier this week that I want to share with you. So the first one that I finished was The Trouble with Little Secrets by Josh Woods. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It is a Harlequin desire novel. It is Dynasty's Calcott Manor book number 3. And this is the story of Peyton and Jack. So there's a lot kind of going on with this one, but I felt as a reader going into book 3, of course, you guys know me, I'm a out of series order reader, that I was fine not reading books 1 and 2. I was able to jump in and enough information was given to be able to understand the story, but for those of you who are series readers, this is one that, yeah, okay, go ahead and read it in order. So there's kind of a lot going on in the background with this overarching plot line for this series, which I'm not going to get into, because for those of you who might want to read it in order, I'll let you kind of discover it on your own. But the story of Peyton and Jack is that she actually used to be engaged to his brother, and then he died, the brother, obviously, and it was a number of years later. She was back in town at a friend's wedding, and he saw her in the lobby of the hotel. The two of them ended up spending the night together, and she got pregnant, of course, because that's always how these things work. So she now has an 18-month-old son, and she's again back in town for the summer, and he has just come back into town to try and to look after his grandmother, to talk some sense into his grandmother for some things pertaining to her will. Again, overarching plot line, don't want to get into it. So the rumor starts going around that he's got this son, and the two of them see each other, and, the story goes from there. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was a fun story. If you enjoy the secret baby, secret child trope, you might really like this one. Josh Wood is a great author. I really like her stuff, and I'm never disappointed. The side characters, the secondary characters in these are just great. Now, these Dynasty stories, for those of you who don't know, are not all written by the same author. So this series has, I think 4 different authors, because there's 4 books. So I really do like that. I did have one of my viewers ask what I thought about these series that are written by multiple authors, and I'm a big fan of it, to be honest, because I really think that it lends a new voice to each individual story. Whereas if it's, and I mean, I'm not complaining about one author writing a whole series. I love the Heartbreaker Bay series by Jill Shalvis, and there's a ton of series that are all written by a single author. But there's just something special about reading a series like this where truly you're getting new voices for each of your characters with these different authors writing the stories. So I really, really do like that. The next book that I read was kind of a last minute decision to read, and I really did enjoy it. So that was A Spy in the House by Y.S. Lee. This I gave 3.5 stars to. It is the first book in the Agency series, and I did listen to this one on audio, and it was narrated by Justine Eyre, or Justine Eyre, excuse me, not Eyre. Justine Eyre. I was pronouncing her name wrong, and I do apologize. So this was a YA historical mystery. I read this for the readathon that PK is hosting over at the Bookie Monster, The Spy vs. Spy, to read stories about spies. And it's about our main character, Mary, who at the age of 12 was rescued from the gallows because she was a thief and she was going to be hung for her crimes, I should say. And she was rescued and, kidnapped essentially, and then brought to this boarding school for girls, where it was a typical boarding school. And then, she turned 17 or 18 and she's like, hey, I'm bored. I don't know if I really want to be a teacher. I don't know if I really want to do this. Well, back then, of course, there weren't a lot of options for women for what they were going to do for a career. But what she didn't know was, of course, there's this secret agency that's being run out of this boarding school for spies. So she becomes a spy and she gets placed in this house as the companion to the guy's daughter, who's the same age as her. And because that was a job back then, being someone's companion. And she was there to kind of hear the secrets in the house. And the story goes from there. So the father is accused of smuggling artifacts in from the East, like India and China and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, this was a fun story. I gave it 3.5 stars. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. Again, I'm not going to rush to read the second book, but I did enjoy the story well enough. There is a romance in here, kind of, with a guy by the name of James. He is also kind of trying to figure a few things out in regards to the woman or the girl that Mary is being the companion for, Angelica. That James's brother wants to marry Angelica, and he's trying to, is she really good for you? Is she good for the family? That kind of a thing. So, yeah, it was fun. I mean, if you like historical mysteries, give this one a try, if you can find it on audio. And I really did like the narration on it. I'm a big fan of Justine Eyre's narration, even though I pronounced her name wrong originally, and I do apologize again for that. The next one that I finished was Murder on Ice by Caroline Keene. I gave this one 3.5 stars as well. This was the week of the 3.5 star read for me. Book 3 in the Nancy Drew Files series. Another ton of reread book. I've reread this one a bunch of times. So Nancy, Bess, George, and Ned, Nancy's boyfriend, head off to Vermont for a skiing weekend. Now, they drove there, and it said that they said it was in Vermont, but I always pictured River Heights as being in, Illinois, because it's been mentioned several times that it's close to Chicago. So I think this is one of those Simpsons scenarios where Springfield could be in any state. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, they go for a ski weekend, and it turns out that there's some accidents that start happening with Ned and Nancy, and then George falls for this ski instructor who doesn't seem to be the most upstanding citizen, and Nancy's trying to find out who done it. No murder. It says murder on ice. So nobody's actually murdered in the book. There's a murder that takes place before the story starts, and they're trying to find out if one of these people is the murderer of that person, kind of an idea. But I mean, it's a fun story. It's campy, it's fun, it's a skiing weekend. There's, a mystery afoot, there's romance. I enjoyed it. Nancy, of course, gets in peril about a dozen times and survives every time because she's Nancy Drew, and that's just what happens, and I love these books. And the last book that I finished this week was A Love Catastrophe by Helena Hunting. I gave this book 4 stars. So I did listen to this on audio, even though I have a physical copy. It was narrated by Erin Malone and Joe Arden. And this is the story of Kitty and Miles. So Kitty is the cat whisperer, or the kitty whisperer. And Miles' mother, so you look at this cover, and this is a fun, bright yellow, really cheerful type cover. There's some dark stuff weaved through this book, you guys. So Miles' mom is dealing with early onset dementia. So he's dealing with that, with her. And Kitty is kind of dealing with her mom because a decade or so earlier, her father passed away. Her mother doesn't seem to have really moved on. She watches all of the dad's same shows. She, still sets a place at the table for him. And, her and her sister, Kitty and her sister, still live at home. Kind of wanting to help their mom. And Kitty and Miles meet when Miles needs someone to care for his mother's cat. The mother's in the hospital before they decide what's going to happen next. Is she going to come home? Is she going to go to a home? It was a whole bunch of things. And so Kitty is hired to look after the cat, and her and Miles start a relationship. It is a bit of an frenemies to lovers story. But yeah, I mean, it was cute. It was cute. It was fun. There are some sexy times in this book, and my biggest downfall of this one was some of the wording that was used during those times. Kitty sounded very juvenile in describing certain, because the book is told back and forth, from her perspective to his perspective. And when it was her perspective during those sexy times, it was just a little goofy and I wasn't a fan. Let's put it that way. So that part of it I could have left, but the sexy times don't happen really till the very end, almost. The rest of the story was really good, but do keep in mind, do not be fooled by the cover. Again, there is some difficult topics in this book, with, again, dementia, the death of a parent, stuff like that. But there's still a lot of light to balance that out as well. I just don't want you going in thinking that this entire book is light and cheerful and, you know what I mean? Because I was actually kind of surprised, oh, okay, that's what we're going to deal with. All right, that's fine, So yeah, it is what it is. 4 stars. I enjoyed it. That was actually my first Helena Hunting. So I don't know. If any of you have read her, let me know what else I should pick up. Because I did enjoy this one at the end of the day. I'm not going to rush to read another one of her books. but I would like to pick up another one in the future. So let me know if you guys have read her, what one I should pick up next. And that is all for everything that I read this week, you guys. So what am I currently reading? I feel like I've been reading these 3 books forever, but it's really only been a few days. But again, I have not been reading a lot in the last few days. So Cold Case Cowboy by Jennifer Morey. Would like to finish this one today. So yeah, so there's that one. This one, a part of me wants to DNF it now, but I am so close to being done, and I want to find out who the serial killer is. That's the only thing that's keeping me reading this right now. This is not going to have a high star rating from me, unfortunately. But I may skim through the rest of it and get it done today, and just to find out who done it, essentially. Also reading Playing with Fire by Francine Pascal, Sweet Valley High, book number 3. Not very far into this one at all, but I should get a good bit of this read today. And Stars and Smoke I started on Thursday and have not picked it up since. I am about that far into it. This is by Marie Lu. It is a young adult mystery. It's another spy book, again, for PK's Spy vs. Spy readathon. And yeah, he's basically a K-pop pop star, it sounds like. And he has been hired by this CIA type agency to, what's the word? Okay, so he's going to perform at this billionaire's daughter's birthday party. And the billionaire is being accused of like some very bad things, like human trafficking and drug trafficking and weapons trafficking and trafficking of all the things. And, you know, they want him to get an in, you know, by performing at this birthday party. And so then that way they can learn what's going on and to capture this guy. Essentially, the father, he cannot be found, but they're hoping he's going to come out of hiding for his daughter's birthday, kind of an idea. So yeah, I will let you guys know as I read more. I do hope to get this one done relatively soon. It is Sunday. I have no plans for today, so maybe I can get some good reading done. But anyway, guys, that is really it that I have right now. Trying to think. Coming up on the channel this week, plans got derailed last week. So tomorrow on Monday, I'm going to be vlogging all week again, as usual, picking that back up again because I have missed it. And I do have some good news that's coming. So you'll see that in the next vlog or two. And but tomorrow on Monday, I have a quick announcement video for the page count reading challenge at the end of the month. And then on Friday, I think I'm going to... I have a used book haul coming up next Friday. So stay tuned for that as well, you guys. So anyway, that is all that I have. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know again, have you read any Helena Hunting? What book would you recommend? Or have you read any of these and what did you think about them? And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.